Welcome to the EFS Modernization Project Training video series. This video covers the VPK attendance process. For the attendance process, we'll start at the provider portal. At the top is the attendance menu. We'll select Manage VPK Attendance. Now you will see the VPK Attendance Roster. Note, for program type, you can toggle between SR and VPK. Each of the service periods that have had enrollments are listed. Each service period has a due date listed, and also the classes for the provider are listed here as well. In this example, the provider only has one class, AF17. The children's names are listed below, and there's a calendar. The calendar is telling us the number of children that are present over the amount of children that are enrolled. As we mark absences, the present count will go down, but we'll still see the number of enrolled as being the same number. There's a legend down below: X for enrolled or present, A for absent, T for terminated. The star, gray background and a star, is closed, and blue is attendance has not started yet. When we click on a child's name, we'll get to see these in action. Let's go ahead and start with Apple Bloom. And here we can see the child details on the right hand side, and you can see how those days are now green with the X for present. For all of VPK, each day the child is enrolled will be marked as an X for present by default. The provider will just click on the X to change it to an absence. It could be clicked again to return it to present. Providers will want to go through each child and mark the absences. Apple Bloom will go ahead and mark off a couple Wednesdays, and we'll click Save. We have a success message. We'll go to the next child. Frosted Flakes is going to take off on some Mondays, and we'll go ahead and we'll save that. As we do this, you can see the child information update on the right hand side. The absences are saved, and also the days absent versus days present have been updated as well. We'll move on to the next child. We'll leave this child all present. For Lucky Charms, we'll take off Friday as being absent. Rarity, we'll just take a few days and save. Of course, as the provider, you're looking at sign-in sheets and the days that the child was actually absent. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going through and marking a few days absent here and there so we can see how this looks. Spike, this one here is interesting. This child started enrollment on May 31st, and you can see the days prior to May 31st, they're marked blue where attendance has not started. During the enrollment process, when the children were enrolled, it was asked for the anticipated start date. The anticipated start date is actually the first day that attendance can be marked for the child. So for this child, for Spike, the first day that attendance can be marked is May 31st, which was their anticipated start date. So we'll leave that one okay. We'll go to Tricks. We're on Tricks, and we'll just take a few days here marked as absent and click Save. So now we have completed, let's say, all the absences for the children in the class. One thing you can do before you submit is you can click on the Summary button, and this will show you an attendance summary for the service period for all the children. When I mention the word service period, I'm talking about from the first day of the month to the last day of the month. These are when services were rendered. This provider is not open on the weekends, of course, so you see Saturdays and Sundays is not being open. May 28th, that Monday, is also a holiday, so you're seeing them that day is being closed as well. So these closures are being driven from the VPK provider application. That calendar was built for the class that said the class meets Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They're off on, of course, the weekends, and they're off on May 28th because it's a holiday. You can see how this carries over now to attendance. This view here again is showing you a summary You can see the absences that you've marked and kind of double check that this looks correct. You've got a count of days absent and days present, and you can click close. VPK Attendance does not have any document uploads or reasons to select for being absent. It's really, are they present or not? Very simple process. When you're all done with the attendance for the service period, and don't forget you do have to do this for each class, you're going to come down here to submit to Coalition. In this example, my service period is May 1 to May 31, so it was due on 6/5, and that clearly, there's a little warning here, that's indicating that this attendance is late. So when I go to submit attendance, I get a little pop-up message that mentions the due date for the service period has passed. That late attendance may be processed in the next reporting period. What this means is the Coalition has the option to pay this roster in the current payment cycle that they are working on, or they can move it to the next because this attendance is being submitted late. This is something that's noted in the VPK 20 contract, that late attendance may or may not be processed in this current cycle. So that's what this is saying, and we can click OK, and we can move on to the Sign and Certify. Again, you see some summary information at the top. You've got that summary view. You want to look this over and make sure it's accurate, that all the children that are enrolled in the class are here for this service period. You can come down here to Sign and Certify and enter your name. Click Certify by Electronic Signature and click Submit. And now this is off to the Coalition for further processing. So up at the top you can see that attendance was submitted to the Coalition on 6/20 by this username. I do have a couple other service periods that haven't been submitted. Of course, as a provider, you want to do this on a timely basis by the due date, in fact, so that you can get your payment. But for testing purposes, I do have some other service periods that I could take a look at to kind of show you some other scenarios. So this is my service period for April that was not submitted, and it was due in May, so of course this is very late. Again, I can click on a child's name and I can mark those absences and click Save. I can go to the next child and mark those absences as well. And we'll just do maybe one more, and we'll take off Fridays and Thursdays, just so we can trigger some 80/20 logic later on. Go ahead and save this. I'm going to check the summary. This all looks good according to the sign-in sheets, according to the information that I have available. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go ahead and submit this to the Coalition. So the attendance being late, we have our pop-up, and now we're at that Sign and Certify page. If for some reason there's information here that isn't correct and you don't want to submit this at this point, you can go ahead and use this cancel button to return to the previous screen. And we were working on the April class, and you can see that the April class has not been submitted to the Coalition. So if you do get to that Sign and Certify page and you need to cancel, there is a cancel button to do that. There's one more thing I want to point out, and that's about submitting early. You can submit your attendance before the end of the service period as long as there are no more VPK instructional hours occurring. For example, on the screen here you can see this is the month of December, and for this class the last day of VPK instruction was Friday the 22nd. At that point, the VPK attendance can be submitted to the Coalition to begin processing for payment. As long as there are no more instructional days, the attendance may be submitted early. And this is helpful particularly in the month of December, but also in maybe the last month of the class, where the class ends early or mid-month. As long as there are no more instructional hours, you can go ahead and submit early. Okay, I think that concludes our video for the VPK attendance process. If you have any questions, we'll be updating our provider portal user guide with more information. Thank you.